20 January 2024, and today I've got our weekend update on a Saturday, and this is going to be very, very eventful week. As I said to you, we're now moving towards a more active political landscape in Zimbabwe, and what is going to happen next week is that Chamisa is going to announce his next move after the court ruling yesterday. You saw the court judgment yesterday, which was handed down by Judge Pisirayi Kwenda in favor of Chabangu, Sengezo Chabangu. So the judge was furious with Chamisa, and this is what happened. Sengezo Chabangu and his lawyers, they went to the judge's chambers, and Chamisa's lawyers did not go because they already knew the judgment that was going to be handed, so they did not go there. And Judge Kwenda was furious. In his judgment, he became so furious that he started making political statements. And this is crazy. Unfortunately, this is not written down, so you're not going to see it in the judgment. But what happened is the judge then went on a tirade, which was to say the CCC is having factions, they must negotiate, because what he's seeing before him is not a court case of CCC against CCC, but there are now factions in the CCC. That is what the judge said in his judgment. When he was handing judgment, he was furious at Chamisa for not. He said this is disrespectful what Chamisa has done by not showing up in court. But I understand why Chamisa did not go there, because they knew already that the judgment was going to be handed down, and it's going to be a crazy judgment. This judgment that was handed down yesterday is irrational, and the reason obviously is that on December 8th, there was a similar judgment by Justice Katillo. I think it's Justice Katillo who handed over that judgment. I'm going to find the proper name for the judge on the judgment on 8th December. So basically what happened is Sengezo Chabangu has successfully removed Chamisa's MPs from the ballot. So we have a similar case that we had on 8th December when they removed Chamisa's MPs from the ballot. But Sengezo has failed to field candidates in some of the places. So you now have a situation where in some of the places Sengezo didn't field, and the Chamisa representatives have been removed. But that is all water under the bridge. As I said, the judge was furious with Chamisa. He was very, very angry. Judge Pisirayi Kwenda, saying Chamisa is disrespectful. He did not allow his lawyers to come and not the judgment. This is exactly what happened yesterday. And then the judge went on to say the CCC is made up of factions. They must negotiate. They must solve this thing internally. Something that has got nothing to do with the judge. Crazy stuff happening in the Zimbabwe courts. And this takes us to the next move of Nelson Chamisa. Nelson Chamisa, according to my sources within the CCC, is going to make an announcement on Monday on what he's going to do next. And I want to show you his tweet. This is the tweet from Nelson Chamisa. The future is in our handwriting. We choose to paint the whole country with the universal color of love. The next steps are decisive and exciting. Good Friday. This is what Chamisa tweeted after that judgment. And you can see where this is going. This is going to be something very, very interesting, because ED Chabangu, they are going to be in for a surprise. Zimbabweans love Chamisa. I want to tell you this. If you want to find out, ask guys like Hopo what happens to you if you go against Chamisa. Hopo right now is having to rebuild, and Hopo is a nice guy. Now look at people who are against Chamisa. It's going to be extremely difficult for ZANU-PF. It's going to be very, very difficult for Chabangu. These guys are making a mistake. But next week, we're expecting that announcement from Nelson Chamisa on his next move. What the judge did yesterday, crazy stuff, angrily slamming Chamisa in court and saying that Chamisa should now negotiate with Chabangu. This happened in court. I'm not making it up. You can also go and have a look at the Newsday newspaper. They've got a record of that whole thing that happened in court. The judge making political statements during his judgment, where he said there are now two factions of CCC, and these factions should solve this internally. He is now like a mediator in the CCC issues. When we all know very well that there is a judgment that says Chabangu is not the interim secretary general of the CCC, and there's a pending judgment in a court case where the CCC is challenging the authority of Chabangu. So I don't know what the judge was doing and what this tirade was about. I guess he was just unhappy that Chamisa's lawyers did not come to note the judgment, because they said we had called them here to note the judgment, but they did not come. So this is what angered the judge yesterday, Judge Pisirayi Kwenda. Very, very unhappy with Nelson Chamisa. Now let's go to, obviously, as I said, next week we'll be bringing you this whole thing. I'm expecting something very, very dramatic from Nelson Chamisa. We are passing this whole stage of Sengezo Chabangu. These guys are going to be known from next week. You can see that, you will see this happening. They don't have any influence in Zimbabwean politics. Right, now let's go to, okay, so the elections on the 3rd of February, just for the record. So next week, we are probably going to see more campaigning by the guys who are going to be contesting. And then the election itself is on 3 February. But whatever Chamisa is going to announce next week is going to dominate. Not this other stuff that is going to happen. That is a non-entity. Now, let me give you a few more stories, and then we'll shut this down. It's a Saturday. So, Euonor Guti, she has published her biography, the wife of the late Euonor Guti. It will be very, very interesting. You should check that out. There have been a murder in Kwekwe at a farm. Old man Henry Karonga of Greenham farm, 85 years old, has been killed by a group of armed robbers. You can check out that story at Newsday. And then Khama Billiat is too injured to play. His wounds and injuries and all the broken bones are too much. He cannot play. He's just practicing with Passport United, but he won't be able to play soccer ever again. The only thing that is left is for him to go back to Zimbabwe and become a coach, or to go back and play for a Zimbabwean team, something like that. But remember, this guy was the most highly paid South African soccer player at 850,000 rands a month. So that is 850,000, about 10 million rands a year. That was what Khama Billiat was earning. But after his injuries, he won't be able to play soccer again. That is what they say here. And then Hwange has been hit by cholera. So cholera has now spread to every place currently except Victoria Falls. So what I would suggest for the guys in Victoria Falls is be very, very proactive. Currently, Zimbabwe is only functional in Victoria Falls. Everything else has died. The Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, tourism, everything in Victoria Falls is functional. So that needs to be protected. The guys in Victoria Falls must declare their own state of emergency. ED will never do it. Even if every person in Zimbabwe dies of cholera, ED is not going to declare a state of emergency. He's too proud. He's not going to do it. Because what is needed now is to declare a state of emergency, ask international organizations to help. Because people are dying. We almost have 500 people dead now of cholera across the country. And ED has still not declared that state of emergency, which we need to get clean water, to get pipes, to get those dams completed. Every single project that ED started has stopped. The dams that they started to build, they're not functional. The piping projects are not functional. There are no chemicals. The prices in Zimbabwe have gone crazy. If you buy 2 bananas, you can easily spend $5. People are pricing goods in such crazy ways because the supply chains are broken, things are not functional, the currency is dead. It's crazy what's happening in Zimbabwe. And then the Chinese ambassador, Zhao Ding, has handed over narcotics equipment to the Zimbabwe Public Police. That is narcotics detection equipment for detecting if someone is carrying drugs and so forth. That is been handed over yesterday. Then let's look at a few pictures. In fact, I want to look at this picture here. ED has met with, let's look at the actual banner. He met with Lady Scotland, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, at Spec Resort, Munyonyo, Uganda. So that is, ED is trying to get himself into the Commonwealth. But I want to mention something. This will never happen. The Commonwealth will never admit ED, because the biggest problem with ED, he doesn't understand the importance of dialogue. As long as he has the current system that he has now, here in Zimbabwe, where the political system that is created is not acceptable to anyone, all these international bodies will never accept him. The only thing that ED needs to do is go into dialogue with Nelson Chamisa and sort this out. Currently, you know that Bobby Wine is under house arrest, right? So this is crazy stuff. This is not going to work. Whatever he's trying here is not going to work. They can do the non-aligned movement things, but Commonwealth, EU, all these other organizations, they are not going to accept ED and what he's doing. This man needs to get proper advice. This whole country is going to collapse if there's no dialogue in Zimbabwe. That is the fact. And as I said to you, I'm not afraid to say this, every single week, if there's no dialogue in Zimbabwe, every week that passes is going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's not about Nelson Chamisa, it's about ED. ED has to make the next move. The reports that have been issued by SADC, by EU, by all these international organizations, even by the Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission and so forth, they say that the election was not valid and there needs to be a dialogue. This is the next move, not all these other things that he's trying. Next picture is Auxilia Mnangagwa, the first lady. So I'm going to give you these two pictures. So Auxilia Mnangagwa went to Mozambique to meet Dr. Isauria Nyusi, who invited her for the launch of We're Equal campaign and Zero Waste campaign in Maputo, Mozambique. So she was in Maputo. That is why you see she's not traveling with ED. She is in Maputo, where she was in Maputo. These guys easily fly around. They don't take time to go to Mozambique. I think it will take a few hours to go to Maputo by flight. I don't know if she's using that private jet or not, that ED got, but they easily move around, and we'll see. I don't know, the Mozambicans, they are becoming more and more closer to ED. You can see that she spends a lot of time with Ananyusi and the wife now, and the projects that they're doing here in Forbes Border Post, what they're trying to do with Beira. They're trying to do a lot, and Tagore is also involved. They remember they've got a pipeline that goes to Masasa from Mozambique, so they're protecting their personal interests. Similarly, they're also trying to create an image that they're accepted internationally. But if you look at what is happening, there's not country that is welcoming ED. Come to think of it, which country can ED go to now on a state visit? Have you ever seen that? So ever since the last election, have you ever heard that ED has gone for a national or a state visit? The reason is because people are waiting for him to clear this situation with the stolen election. The issue with the election is going to be with us until the dialogue is concluded, and there should be no election in 2028. Chamisa is a very important part of the economy and politics in Zimbabwe. As long as you don't have that dialogue with Chamisa, nothing is going to happen in Zimbabwe. Things are going to stand. The way they've stood now, everything has stopped, except for that area of Victoria Falls. It's a gem, what is happening in Victoria Falls. But the cholera epidemic is threatening that Victoria Falls. So the guys in Victoria Falls, as I said, they need to sort it out. But basically, to fix the whole country, you need to fix the dialogue. ED needs to sit down with Chamisa, and we need to have our next election. We skip 2028, and we have the next election after that. But the power sharing now has to happen. Right now, we're waiting for power sharing. That is what is needed. That is the solution. The current ZEC and all the other organizations, they cannot run an election. So having an election is a waste of time. Look what is happening now with the courts. What the judge Pisirayi did yesterday, Justice Kwenda. That's crazy stuff. Going in court and starting to angrily slam Chamisa in court. That's crazy. So we are awaiting Chamisa's next move on Monday or Tuesday. I don't know when he's going to announce, but on Monday they're going to probably have a meeting and finalize the next move. which would be shocking. It would be like a counterpunch to ED and his people and guys like Sengezo, who are acting erratically and irrationally, the same as ED. So we don't know why they're doing that. What is the end game? But we are moving to that next stage where Chamisa is going to define his next move. Probably, I hope he's going to announce does. I hope he does that. That would be nice. Look at those colors. Everyone will look nice in blue. Imagine you move from red, you go to yellow, and it still looks good. It's amazing. So let's see what Chamisa does next week. We are all awaiting the next move. What ED and Nasengers have done. That's a non-entity. That's nothing. You will see. It's going to be nothing next week. As I said, as a young person, if you're supporting what ED is doing now, this is crazy. Even if you're in ZANU, you can't support this. Even if you don't like Chamisa, you can't support this. You have to sit down and think, where are we going? What is the future of our country? Where in the world have you ever seen a president that is not respected anyway? This is the reason what he's doing now with all these recalls and all the things that he's been doing since the elections, refusing to have dialogue, and no one making money. Who do you know in Zimbabwe is making money? The kind of situation that you see in Harare. This reminds me of Mozambique. When I went to Mozambique in 2001, I wanted to start a business in Maputo, in an area called Dondo. I went there. As I passed each and every town, I saw people selling in the middle of town, in front of shops, potholes in town. And when I was driving, one guy lost the whole front axle of his car. So he drove so fast, he went into a pothole and lost the whole front axle of his car. I went to Dondo there. The buildings were smelling. At that time, I don't know what it looks like now in Beira, but the buildings were smelling. There was no ablution facilities. Everywhere you looked, it was dirty. When you went to the beach, there was a market that covered the whole beach. And people were selling, standing there with no structure. This is what Zimbabwe looks like now. If you go to Harare now, it's embarrassing what is happening in Harare. And this is all under ED, the leadership of ED. No one is making money. Government employees, they've started wearing again those yellow shirts that they used to wear during the days when things were really bad in 2008. It's terrible. No one can make things happen in Zimbabwe because of ED's leadership style. The guys who work in ED's office, they are struggling. I'm not talking about only guys outside. Everybody is struggling in Zimbabwe. And ED is just sitting there refusing to negotiate. All we need is dialogue. Then everything will be sorted out. Because it's no longer about the elections. You know that the elections are useless. Look what's happening now. We have an election now of so many people, almost 1/4 of the parliament. So what? So elections are useless. We now need to move to this negotiation and power sharing, which is what Chamisa has been calling for. Now let's go to the comments and wrap this up very, very quick. Your friend Pugeni is behind all this. Now, Conrad, I want to explain to you something about me and Pugeni, how I know Pugeni and where I know Pugeni from. I know Pugeni from his days with Tsvangirai. There was something called the Diaspora Vote Coalition, which was formed by MDC T, MDCN of Ngube, and I think other political parties here in Johannesburg. That was how I met Pugeni. And Pugeni was a representative of Tsvangirai in that group with other guys. I think if you remember a guy called Trasnilov, he was also there. So if you know me, you know that I know everyone. And I don't know them from being told. There is no house of a person who is in CCC or MDC, which I have not gone into here in Johannesburg. So people know me and I know them and they trust me. That's why I go to the houses. And these people like Pugeni, I know them very, very personally. So when you make statements about Pugeni, let me explain to you. He's just someone like you and me. Pugeni is not a guy that is sitting there plotting against Chamisa. And my understanding is that if you look at Matabeleland, there's no people there who are representing the region. And Pugeni, those are some of the people that are representing the region. These need to be handled. These issues of Pugeni going to Chabangu and becoming a spokesperson. I've talked to Pugen myself, and I disagree with him in terms of him supporting Chabangu, and I think it's a bad move. But you must understand the context. A lot of people in Matabeleland actually believe that they need to be represented. But this is the wrong way to go about it. You can't take Chabangu, you can't take Mbuso Siso. I've told the guys that this is the wrong way to go. We also have people like Prince Dubeko, who is very, very vocal and very close to Chamisa. The problem with guys like Dubeko, I've said to them in the past, do you know that Matabeleland is not just Matabeleland North? So you have to think about Matabeleland North, Matabeleland South, and Bulawayo. Those are the three Matabeleland provinces, right? So first of all, they have to create unity among themselves. They have to agree. Not this thing that we have that this group from Matabeleland is not happy and this group is happy. So you have to sort out these things. And this is where Pugen comes in. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Pugen. If you spend time with him, you understand what I mean. Guys like Chief Njov, I've spent time with the guys like Chief Njov, and Chamisa knows these guys. It's not that they are unknown to him. So they need to address Matabeleland. Matabeleland is now becoming a problem because ED has taken advantage and capitalized on Matabeleland. He knows that there are issues in Matabeleland, in the CCC, in the MDC, and he knows why he can capitalize there. Remember from the days of Tsvangirai, we had problems with Gibson Sibanda, Tokozani Kupe, Washman Ngube. So don't take this lightly. Matabeleland is a very, very big problem for the opposition. They need to address the issues that are there in Matabeleland. Right, then I guess Chamisa is no longer missing now. Yuri, I said Chamisa, have you seen him though? Anyone who has seen Chamisa on video? So let's see next week. It's going to show up. If you have seen Chamisa on video, let me know. Share the link with me. Because I don't trust ZANU at all. They can take Chamisa out any day if they want. If they can do what they're doing now, politically, what can stop them from saying, let's just quickly end this? Because this is crazy stuff. And I'll always be like, watching out to see what happens to Chamisa. Probably the most popular person right now in African politics. There's no one as popular as Chamisa. Even if Chamisa forms a party called XY, he's still gonna get votes, and ZANU PF is still gonna lose. Amazing. Imagine that. Imagine if you form a party called ABCDEF 000, right? And then you put Chamisa's face there. It's still gonna win. Yeah, that's crazy. And you have to understand ED, how frustrating it is for him, because no one likes ED. Politically, ED has not created any value at all in Zimbabwe. What value has ED created now? And to make matters worse, he's lost respect in the region. Guys are struggling to understand where to place ED. And then people are not making money. There is nothing worse than a president that is surrounded by people who are not making money. Guys who were making business before ED came, they are losing their businesses. Things are collapsing around them. The currencies are nothing. And every year, we're starting without a plan. Where is the plan now? Tell me ED's plan for 2024. Have you seen it? Have you heard it? NDS1, where are we? So you have to understand where things are. Right, Gabriel is saying, MSA Gabriel, Gambakwe has endless theories. No, I don't have endless theories. Gambakwe, probably the most well-known person right now. I'm even walking around, I'm planning to find a mask so that when I walk, people don't see me. But do you know what happened? Like, I want to tell you guys this story. Mugabe. The first day I met Mugabe, right? Like physically, I was working. I was a student at NAST, and our office, NAST did not have a campus, so it was on Lobengula Street, and I was running my magazine from Lobengula Street. So I started to walk up to the art gallery of Bulawayo. I wanted to go into the city center, and then when I got to the art gallery, Mugabe was there inside the art gallery, and Mugabe's guys were standing outside. So I was wearing a jacket, and Mugabe's guys called me because there were not enough people inside the art gallery where he was opening. So if you look at the pictures of opening of art gallery, you probably see it. So Mugabe's guys were not enough. There were not enough people. So they saw me wearing a jacket, looking very smart, and they said to me, "Come inside." So I went to the art gallery with Mugabe's guys. They were very nice. I don't know about these guys. Then they walked me in, and there were about 20 people in the room. Then I found myself standing right next to Mugabe, and he was giving a speech. Like literally, I was the next person standing to Mugabe, and he was giving a speech, and then he left. So what then happened after that is I started having an interest in exactly what does a president do? How does a president get authority and power? Right. First and foremost, ED right now, you cannot even compare him with Mugabe in terms of the team around him. That is where things are falling apart. So the theory that I can give you about ED is very simple. It's not even difficult. ED will not achieve anything because he does not have that bigger vision that Mugabe had. Mugabe could make mistakes, but he had a broader vision of Africa. Do you understand? If you go to any country, so I went to the Netherlands. When I got there, they were asking me, that president of Africa, and they were talking about Mugabe. They don't know anyone. They just said, you know, that president of Africa, and they was bad-mouthing him, but they knew he was the president of Africa. And this was in Netherlands. I'm not lying to you. I'm not kidding. So ED, he does not have that ability to create something that will be a formidable force. And that is why you see that our currency is dropping and he's not doing anything about it. Everything is falling apart around us. Cholera everywhere. All these recourse. His view is so closed. Like he only worries about things that are close to him. His farm, his kids, the things that are happening around him. And what we need in Zimbabwe is a broader vision. So it's very simple to analyze. It's not even difficult. Any theory that I give you today, it will be valid again until this term ends. Because ED needs a broader vision. And the guys around ED, they're hungry. There's no one with money. If you're around ED, you know it. Who do you know among ED's guys got money? Who's a millionaire or who's a billionaire? When Mugabe created the team, he took international people. Do you remember that professional cabinet? Jonathan Moyo, Made, Nkosana Moyo, all those guys. Someone would actually come and leave their job at the World Bank and work for Mugabe. Do you think someone would be stupid enough right now to go and work for ED? Think about it. So it's very, very easy to have a theory about ED, and what he's doing to Chamisa is disgraceful. What is happening now? You cannot expect someone to do that after the election, to create a constitutional mess like what has been created now. We've got a court case now. What if there's a ruling that Chabangu does not have authority to recall? What do you have now? 3 MPs per constituency. That's crazy. So that's why I'm saying guys around ED, they know it and everyone knows it. Okay, Tadine is saying, is Pollard been revived? Not Pollard. There's this thing called NERA. Right, so Engineer Mugari is the guy who's behind NERA. They've appointed the guy called Douglas Ngonzora as their spokesperson. So they approached me a few months ago. So let me tell you a secret. They approached me a few months ago and they said, we're forming NERA. And I said, okay, come on, Gambakwe, let's talk. Come and talk about your NERA. And they set up a meeting and they didn't come. Then after a month, Engineer Mugari said, we were busy, so we're going to come. And then I said, come. They didn't come. And then last week they wrote me a message, said, we're forming NERA again. Can we come? And I said, come. And they didn't come. So I don't know what's happening. And I hope Engineer Mugari is going to try to get in touch with me so that we understand. But I know that they've approached Chamisa about NERA. He told me that himself, that they approached Chamisa about NERA. But Chamisa was not for that idea. So this NERA is not narrow. NERA is not narrow, right? Chamisa doesn't like NERA, so he's not into it. So I suggest that we forget about NERA, forget about all the other stuff, Pollard and all that. Those structures don't work. What we need is power sharing, we need negotiations, we need dialogue. Dialogue to heal the country. And no elections in 2028. It will be a waste of time to have another election. So this is what I had for today. Nelson Chamisa. So let's recap. Nelson Chamisa on Monday is going to announce his next move. Monday or Tuesday. I don't know when they're going to finalize. Justice Kwenda was furious yesterday with Nelson Chamisa when the lawyers didn't come to court. He said, why did Chamisa not come here? This is Chamisa's lawyer not come here. This is disrespectful. Before he gave the ruling, cancelling Ana Ostalos and all those guys. Probably the end of the careers of these guys in terms of the current system. I'll tell you about the dream that I had and what's going to happen very, very soon. I'll find that video. I don't want to tell you. I want to remove that video for you. And I'll tell you what happened some time back. I know what is going to happen very, very soon in terms of Chamisa. Chamisa is going to be in this system for a very, very long time. You cannot remove Chamisa from the politics of Zimbabwe. People love Chamisa. Then in terms of Khama Billiat, we said in sport, Khama Billiat cannot play soccer anymore, he's too injured. And Cholera is now in Hwange, 60 kilometers from Victoria Falls. And I said the guys in Victoria Falls need to take this very, very seriously, because Victoria Falls is the only place that is still working in Zimbabwe. So guys, I have to bring this to an end. It's so hot here. I think my temperature is, if I'm not mistaken, way above 45 degrees in Cape Town. You can barely go outside. It's so hot. And today I think I'm going to do the beach so that I get a bit cool. Nothing meaningful. Chamisa announced on Monday. Foster, I always ask, why do CIO guys use double names like Foster, what? If you look online, what's that? Is that the training or what? But anyway, that is it. That is it for today. I think I've talked for 32 minutes. I'm now like Makandiwa. I talked too long. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with more news. And thank you, everyone, for your support. And I really appreciate everything that has been happening since December. So we'll be back next week and see what Chamisa has said. Thank you, and good day to you all.